What's up, guys? It's John with National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into tonight's games and reassess, obviously, essentially where I think we're going to be in the finals. As I had said in my last couple videos, all season long, I did firmly believe we were going to get Warriors-Suns. Now that the Suns have been eliminated, I find the Warriors completely expendable. Another thing I maintained is I just do not see the Warriors repeating. As far as I think last year was their send-off year. I did think this matchup had appeal, but the Nuggets blew them off the court, and the Nuggets are really interesting for a few reasons I'm going to go into. The more I look into them, the more draws I find, but you're going to have them and either the Lakers or Warriors now, and that'll be interesting. I'm going to go into that game next. And then we got the Celtics-Sixers, and the Celtics did win, so they're forcing a Game 7 here. And I would say more people believe the Celtics are going to win. I still like the Sixers just because even in this game, they made a point of talking about Doc quite a bit. They talked about him a good bit, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I really don't. I think they keep saying how he reached out to them when they were down 0-2 about trust and having faith in one another, etc. And I do believe that they're going to win this upset Game 7. I think they'll be 8-point dogs. But we'll go into that game, see if anything changes. Now, what I found interesting, so yeah, we missed them both today, which is fine. Like I said, can't hit them every day. Tomorrow, I think we'll do better, just because, can't do worse, right? But I do think we'll have a nice day. Now, what I want to go into, and I'll go into these games because they kind of tie into each other, is just something very interesting. The 2020 bubble finals, which a lot of fans have an asterisk on. It was a half a season, and they've even mentioned this a few times. LeBron winning in the bubble doesn't really count as a ring, etc., right? Well, what's interesting is that year, the literal Final Four teams are the same Vegas odds favorite Final Four teams this year. It was Heat versus Boston and Lakers versus Nuggets. So the question is, are they rewriting history because in the bubble people didn't count it and now they want it to really happen? Now, I don't personally think it's going to be the same four teams. I think there's too much around Philadelphia right now for it not to be Philadelphia, but I do find it very interesting, and it makes me really like Nuggets to represent the West of the three teams left. Of the Warriors, Lakers, I've gone over many times, I did not have either winner of that winning. I had them losing no matter what to the Suns or Nuggets. But first off, you have Jokic versus Embiid, the MVP versus the prior 2 seasons MVP. And let's be honest, ESPN, the networks, they know that race is a topic that's going to get a lot of traction. So they ran with that story that Embiid, he if he didn't win, it was from racism. They had Perkins, take that stance, and then you had Redick and others go against that stance. And they know, I believe, that it's going to have fans. You have fans that are going to lean one way or another. And most fans, hopefully, just kind of watch the game and they enjoy who they enjoy. But you might have people now more invested. Or just people that feel like, hey, man, Jokic was snubbed. This is bullshit. Or Embiid deserved it, and I hope he proves it. So it's going to have people invested. So I really do like that for the finals. Now, again, what makes sense for the Western Conference Finals? Lakers, Nuggets, or Warriors, Nuggets? I don't think Warriors, Nuggets makes sense. They played a couple times this year. They weren't really crazy matches. When you have two contrasting teams like this, where one is all small ball and then the other is very technically sound, I don't think it makes for an entertaining matchup. But Lakers, in my opinion, Lakers-Nuggets does make for an entertaining matchup. So the question is here, what happens in Game 6? Well, I personally think, looking into everything, that the Warriors are going to win. I think they're going to win, and then they're going to lose Game 7 at home. Again, they still could play the Nuggets. I just think that Lakers make more sense. But as far as Game 6, I do think that they're going to have the Golden State Warriors win just because it's going to be a lot of money on the Lakers at home. The Warriors have done nothing to prove that they can do good on the road. And I think being down 3-1 to force it to a Game 7 is just way too entertaining to pass up on. So I do like the Warriors to win this game. Like I said, I still think Nuggets-Lakers makes more sense. And we'll have a better idea from the lines. But as far as this game 6, I think Warriors do pull it off. And that goes to 7 games. Especially because Nuggets isn't going to 7. And I don't think this game's going to 7. I think the Heat finish it off. We had them winning in Game 5. They didn't get it done. And I think that game is basically the last gas of everything from the Knicks. They showed a lot of fight, basically like it was their last game. I think that's a perfect last game for both. They'll have one more game, but it's a great closeout game for Brunson, where, I think they're called closeout games, where if you don't win, you're out. He had a phenomenal game. They all played really well. So, especially 5.5, you probably get a lot of money on them. I think the Heat close it out. So I like the Heat to close it out, and I like the Warriors to force a Game 7. But yeah, overall, I find it very interesting. Not that long ago, somebody told me they don't write narratives around coaches. And again, I brought this up before. You had the Horrible. You have other examples, of course. But if you watch this year, they zoom in on the coaches more often than they ever did. The coaches' interviews, you can hear them mic'd up. And they went to Doc so many times talking about his trust and his faith in the team and how much he is making this team a better team. And this is Doc's team. Just so similar to when he was with Boston. Not similar to when he was with the Clippers. So I really do think that Doc gets it done. And as I said, I don't think there's a better narrative out there right now. And something that's going to be better for ratings than if you get Jokic versus Embiid. Don't forget, you have to account for the international audience. So while you might say, the Lakers are a bigger draw, they're not. I would say that, the best draw is going to be whatever storyline has people invested. And while, Lakers, it's a great one. Lakers were just there a few years ago. So Nuggets getting redemption, getting to the finals where a lot of people don't think they would. And now you have, again, the two guys that were the center of that conversation going against each other. But I find it interesting that, again, it seems very reminiscent of the bubble. Even the same teams are knocking out the same teams, not all of them, but a good chunk. Most of the same teams are in there with a few replacements. So it's really interesting. I think the Heat knocked out the Bucks that year in the second round. Like it was. You could look at the bracket yourself, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I do think that we're going to see the battle of the two, top MVP guys. And, their draws, that's the reason. I don't think Joker is the type of draw that people expect. But, like I said, people like the underdog type teams, and I would call them an underdog type team. And, again, there's international appeal for him. It's not just, don't forget, in EuroLeague, that there's, whether it's Spain, all through Western Europe, you're going to have, and Eastern Europe, to be honest, fans of Joker. It's not just like Luka's from Serbia. It's not like or Slovenia. It's not like only fans of Slovenia like Luka. Fans in Argentina love him. Fans in Spain love him. Just because these players have acquainted themselves with more than just one country, they've been around. So, with especially them copying WWE, I don't think it's a coincidence. If you look at the last 5 MVPs, they've all been international. And the odds are the next one's going to be, because you got Luka, Jokic, Giannis. I just don't. Luka hasn't won one yet, so it's definitely not a coincidence in my opinion. And Embiid's Canadian, so I just find all of it very interesting. So again, a lot of people might not be sold on Doc. I personally am, just because, again, they spent as much time talking about Doc last year in the offseason than they did the Suns or any other team. They talked about the Suns and the Nets a lot, obviously, but there was a lot of talk about Doc and how he should be fired. And this kind of run is just uncharacteristic it's not uncharacteristic of him. But to give him this now, I think he would have had to have lost in the last round. Losing here and then just like retiring makes no sense to me at all. Someone pointed out they basically ran the same script with Monty Williams, and I noticed, they got blown out at home, by a European guy nonetheless. And it's funny because the team that they traded with, the Nets, had the same result. They got swept. So I always wonder if there's these like type of sister teams or something to that effect. It just seems that way to me. You had a lot of teams with like similar results. But yeah, so I don't think we're going to get a complete repeat of the bubble. I do think it seems like they're trying to reestablish some of the matchups. Nuggets, Lakers probably be one, and it was Boston, Miami. I do think it's going to be Philadelphia, Miami. But it's just interesting. And instead of Miami advancing, I think it's going to be Philly. But to me, when I saw that, I found it pretty interesting. The odds of getting the exact same teams, and it's not as if they're like the 4 best teams. That's the funny part. Like, I'd argue the Bucks are better than the Heat. I'd argue in the West that the Nuggets, probably not a top 3 team if you look at just on paper. So all of it's pretty interesting. So you guys can do with that what you will. But yeah, just again, for tomorrow, I do like the Warriors to extend it to 7. Really get people talking. Will they redeem the 3-1 lead they blew 7 years ago, whatever it was? And I think the Heat close it out. Again, I think you're going to have it seems like each one. So we have one in the West that went 6, and then I think the Warriors go 7. We have the Celtics and Sixers going 7. I think the Knicks and the Heat go 6. And then they always do that, and then they argue, oh, well, this team might have an advantage because they had an extra day or 2 to rest. We'll see how true that is, but I do think it'll be interesting. So yeah, nothing crazy. Just wanted to recap tonight. And I feel way more confident, in the Nuggets because I was so on the tossed because Phoenix Warriors was just too nice of a prospect. So now that one of them is out, it's a lot easier for me to kind of look into the next round. And again, I just think it makes sense. I think no matter who it is, Denver's beating them. But it seems like they're trying to repeat 2020. That being said, again, they like to repeat themselves, so I totally see in this 3-1 lead becoming a 3-3 Game 7. So in this case, we do have, again, I have a home team covering. Heat, I have them covering, not just winning. And we got the Warriors. We're going to take the money line just to get some odds. I posted some baseball on my Discord today. There's only like 5 series, maybe 6. So I'm going to have quite a bit of baseball out for tomorrow. So I'll probably have that out like 9-10 in the morning or something. That way people will have time to get in on it. Because again, baseball's paid really, really well. So I know it's not the most fun, but literally looking at the metrics, we've done exceptionally well, and it's not a coincidence. So again, take care everybody, and happy earnings.